Alright, class. This is an example of loops. Uh, previously, in previous classes, we've created a psychic guessing game. Now, in this psychic guessing game, basically what happens is our game picks a random number between 0 and 99. We have to guess it using user input, uh, basically to see how psychic we are. So to show you how this looks, I run it. I type in my number, 56. My guess was too high. Not that kind of high. The secret number was actually 26. Now, the code for this is relatively straightforward. In my psychic guessing game, I have a scanner, which I have an import at the top. I have a random number generator right here. And then I have to declare a variable guess. Now I declared it up here because we're going to add a loop to this here shortly. Uh, Previously it was here. Int guess equals input.next int. Now if the guess is the secret, you got it correct. You're obviously psychic if you can guess 1 out of 100. Otherwise, it will tell you if you guessed too high or too low. Now at the end of this program, it tells you what the actual number is. Now, here's the thing. This program, the way it was written originally, only lets me guess 1 time. There we go. And that's it. Tells me the secret number, my guess is too low. It's much more interesting if we add a loop. Now I'm going to add a while loop. And that's it. Just a while loop is just going to wrap around most of this code. Now the reason I have to declare guess here is because I'm using it to end this loop. If I don't declare it beforehand, if I just say int guess here, well, I can't use it to end the loop. And this is what a lot of people will end up doing. They'll do int guess, int guess, or they'll use some other variable up here and end up messing it up a little bit. Now, you don't have to actually use guess like I'm using here. I could make a Boolean equals false, and basically say while that's not false, or while that's false, keep going. I could just say while not end, or while end equals false, or while end does not equal true. 3 ways to basically make it say the same thing. At the end of my loop, I just check. If they guessed it correct, end equals true, and it would end that way. I chose to do it this way, so that's why I'm going to stick with it. But either way would work. The farther you get into programming, the more you're going to find that effectively there are numerous branches you can take to basically get to the same answer. Some are more efficient, some are more elegant, some are just hideous, but they still get the job done. Depends on the person. Ideally, you want it to look nice, pretty, concise, not waste a lot of your time too. But that comes with time and practice. You're generally not going to get it perfect the first go. Your first goal is to make sure if you're building something, number 1, it works like it's supposed to. Number 2, people can't break it in weird ways. That's why any major game company or anyone who's making a program in general will put it through, testing. They'll have quality assurance. People who basically play and attempt to break it in any number of ways. And they have to, a lot of people think, well, I get to play games for a living, being basically a quality assurance tester. Because these game companies actually have people play these games. But that's not exactly the thing. 2 things about that. 1, you'll be playing games. Yes. Maybe not games you like. Could be Barbie Fun Time Adventure. Could be super ultra hyper, makeup artist. Could be, some bloody game where everybody gets ripped into pieces. Who knows? But it may not be something you enjoy. And the second thing about that is you're not playing actual full working versions of these games. You're playing broke down buggy versions. And as anyone who's used a computer enough will attest to, if you're playing a game and it just crashes, that's infuriating. If something weird just happens, guy just flies off the screen for no reason, you're like, what just happened? Uh, not not a polished and enjoyable experience, and that's what a quality assurance tester does. They go through and basically write down all the bugs and try to duplicate them, and it's up to the programmers to fix them, assuming that the company gives them time to do so. There's a lot of convoluted stuff involved with major, uh, like AAA gaming, program building, or programs in general like that, especially with big companies. Now, that aside, let's move back to our program. Now, what I've got here is basically while my guess is not correct. So the secret number is saved here in this variable. My guess is saved in this variable after this happens. So as soon as my guess is correct, this ends. It will not end until I get it correct. Now I always tell people I can make this guess correctly in 7 guesses or less. There's 100 numbers I can guess in 7 guesses or less. And most people don't believe me. A few are like, okay, yeah, I believe you can do it. Well, let's find out. 7 guesses or less. You'll notice the pattern here in just a second, but all right, too high, too low. Okay, that's fine. Let's see here. Uh, whoop. I am doing this wrong. There we go. I'm still too high. Oh, darn. Guess I got to keep going. Let's see. My guess is too low. Okay. We're getting closer, though. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4 guesses. That means I have 3 more left. If right now you can't see that I'm definitely going to hit this by the 7th guess, you haven't been paying attention. So let's see. 31's too low, 37's too high. So the next obvious choice would be, let's do this. All right, I am still too high. Okay, guess what? I guess the secret number. Now that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guesses, actually, less than 7. But if that would have been too low, I would have got it on the next guess. So if you notice, what I was doing was a little mathematical voodoo for the most part. There's 100 numbers to guess from, it's true, but since I wrote this program to tell me whether I'm too high or too low, I pick 50. If I'm too high, I cut off 50 numbers from my possible guesses. I go to the halfway point, and I'm too low. That cuts off 25 numbers. So I've only got 25 numbers to guess. Then I go down a little bit more, and I narrow it down to 12, to 6, to 3, and then I guess the right number, 2, 1, basically like that. And you can do the same thing with, 1,000 if you wanted to. 500, 250, 125. It would obviously be, several more guesses, but you could tell somebody, I could guess this in this many guesses. You just go down the list, and if you just follow the formula exactly, you will guess the number in however many guesses you say, usually at the best case there. So I hope you enjoyed that. That's effectively a quick little tutorial on psychic guessing games. Of course, if you guessed it correctly every single time, you must be psychic, or maybe you changed the program code so you know the number. That's not psychic, that's just cheating. Uh, but still, that's how things work with programmers. You can put in whatever you want, technically. Uh, but if you have any questions or anything, feel free to ask away.